Lance Meadow with you here on GoColumbiaLions.com as the Lions wrap up non-conference play hosting Marist on Saturday. As always, we are joined by interim head coach Mark Fabish. And Coach, let's start with the last game, but I want to focus on the defense because the last two games, your defensive unit has held the opposition to 10 points combined between Georgetown and Princeton. And this was after an opening game where there were some ups and downs. How impressed have you been with how the defense has responded since the opener?
Yeah, but even in the opener, I think they played really well and really hard against a Lafayette team that is proving in recent weeks to be pretty formidable. And so in the last, 2.5 games, they've let up 24 points. And so they've been outstanding, and it's been a different person on each play that just shows up as doing their job well. You know, we all talk about in coach speak, just do your job, do your 1/11th, and there is truth to that. But how well can you do your job? And that's the thing that's showing up right now with our defense is their ability to do their jobs, do it hard, execute, and do it well. And that's what's been happening in the last couple games, whether it be against Georgetown and then against Princeton this past Friday night. So it's been fun to watch, but it's also not just something that they turn on game day. It's a byproduct of all the work that they do leading up to each game and each day at practice, how they approach it, and the work that goes into the meetings. It comes to fruition on game day, and we got another test for us this week. A team that scored a bunch of points in the last couple games. A running back that ran for over 200 yards last game out. So, I'm excited to see us take on another challenge.
It's a nice luxury, of course, when the defense puts points on the board, too. I want to focus on the Justin Townsend play, really the setup to it, because it's a third quarter, it's a low-scoring game, and Will Hughes, as he's done all throughout the course of his Columbia career, pins Princeton back. And to use an analogy in terms of Manhattan geography, he puts him in the village, and he tells the Princeton Tigers, try to get up campus to Columbia, and Justin Townsend basically reminded us all, good luck getting through Manhattan without some traffic, and comes through, Coach, with a remarkable opportunistic play.
Well, that's a great analogy by you.
Well, I was working all week on that. I'm glad you noticed.
Wow.
Yes, I was dusting it off.
That's big time. How about it? Never got out of the financial district.
That's right.
But
you took it a step further. So,
Justin, big fan of Statue of Liberty, wanted to get down there. But Justin is he's done well against Princeton the last couple of years. I think last year he had 3 sacks and ended the first half with a big sack with them trying to generate a little bit of a 2-minute offense, and he thwarted that. And then, I mentioned it to Coach Stovall at half. Let's just get 1 turnover. Let's get 1. And I thought that would be a little bit of a spark for us. And I really wasn't going out on a limb with that. But Justin did it, and it's a similar play that they ran here in 22 that ended up being called a fumble. There was a forward swing pass that Aaron Brebner scooped up and scored. This time, Justin diagnosed it and came away with a touchdown, and it was so close to the end zone he didn't have to run far. But even if it was in plus territory somewhere around Times Square, right, he would have had open field to take it back. And so just a great individual effort. But again, I truly believe it's a byproduct of the preparation that goes into each and every game. And then for Justin to not only go out and execute, but execute well, the result ended up being the touchdown for us. So really cool to watch. Awesome thing for Justin. He works his tail off every day. He's a model in terms of his work ethic day in and day out. And so to have that moment was really cool for him, and really excited to be able to watch him experience that.
Very athletic pass rusher on full display, and a bit of deja vu all over again, as you mentioned, with what Brebner did the previous season. I'm glad you're playing off the theme, too. I certainly appreciate that. In all seriousness, though, historically, Princeton is a very difficult place to go to and win. And, Coach, you were right there. I don't need to remind you, it was such a nail-biter of a game. What, if anything, even though it didn't end out result-wise that you had hoped, can the team take away from that, from at least a confidence standpoint?
Well, I think they can be proud of how hard they play. We can play smarter. We can make better decisions from start to finish for 60 minutes or however long the game ends up going. we're never going to be perfect, but we can work towards, make the effort to try and be perfect. But our effort was outstanding. We talk about it every day. We'll start a meeting here and we'll say, what are we about? The team will say effort, accountability, team, and those can be just words, but are they actions? And our actions were that of a team that plays hard. And that's what makes it even that much more difficult to swallow, is because the effort was there, because they gave so much to it, and to come up short is hard. It's disappointing, but we'll move forward. We'll learn from it. We'll get better, and we look forward to having the opportunity to line up against somebody else and see if we can play harder. See if we can give more effort than we've given in the past, and that'll be the goal each week.
Now, on the flip side, the offense was coming off a 30-point outburst against Georgetown. Unfortunately, they didn't score in this last game. The defense did, and just 3 points against Lafayette. What do you need to see moving forward here before you start Ivy League play that you can duplicate what you showcased in that Georgetown game? I
think just consistency, across the board. The effort's there, okay, do your 111th, but can you do it well? Whatever it is that you're being asked to do, how well can you execute it consistently from one play to the next, and not letting the previous play affect your ability to execute the next one. And the more that we can do that, the more we'll be going in the direction that we all want, that we all know that we can perform at, the level that we can perform at. I think more than anything else, it just does boil down to that one word of just consistency, of checking every box on every play all the time. Knowing what to do, doing it well, doing it hard, right? And then being able to do it again, on a consistent basis, play after play. Whether it's a run, whether it's a pass, whether you're the left tackle, whether you're the right wide receiver. Can all those boxes get checked on every play? And there's no weeks off in this thing. There's no soft games. There's no easy games where you can, take some time to ease your way into it. Marist is going to throw a bunch of pictures at us. They're going to, they're like a crafty veteran pitcher that's got a lot of pitches in his arsenal. You don't know if it's going to be a curveball, a fastball, a changeup, a knuckle curve. That's them. And we have to prepare on offense for every one of those pitches while being able to know what to do it hard, do it well, and then being able to do it again.
Manhattan geography, baseball, we give it to you all in terms of the analogies within this conversation.
We'll talk about football, right?
You come for a preview and you get a little bit of everything. You brought up Marist. There's a team that's 2-2, lost 2 games, but the last 2 games they've been impressive, specifically from an offensive standpoint. I'm curious, because you played this game consistently, you played this team last season. How much does it compare at all to what you saw last year?
I think we're both new teams. They're another year older. We played them in week 1 the last 2 seasons where they didn't know much about us. Now they've got a lot more film on us than they have had in the past, where we maybe had the element of surprise, in our favor. Now all cards are on the table, and they have the ability to prepare for us a little bit different than maybe the last 2 seasons. And they have a veteran group. They've got a lot of guys that have played for a number of seasons for them. On the defensive side, 44 and 2 are guys that seem to show up every year for them. Show up not only on the depth chart and on the roster, but show up in making plays.
Sure.
And then on the offensive side of the ball, they had 26, ran for well over 200 yards last week. The quarterback Bagosi is throwing the heck out of it, and 19 is a very, very good wide receiver, and so we got to work it out for us.
You alluded to the fact that they have been able to produce explosive plays, and you go back to the Georgetown game. What jumped out to me is Caden Bell and J.J. Jenkins connecting. How much Could that be an X factor for your team here moving forward, given the difficulty, as you well know, going 10 plays, 80 yards consistently and avoiding some type of a negative play?
Yeah, I think big plays, generate big plays.
Yeah.
Whether it be in the pass game or in the run game, generating big plays is a huge indicator of success. Because as you alluded to, it's hard. It's hard to average 4 yards a play over and over and over again. The amount of stuff that has to go right over and over and over again without a potential negative play. And if you're doing those types of drive, the 10, 11, 12 play drive that has to go 80 yards, you're not generating a big play. And then ultimately it's hard to do it again when you go back on offense the next time out. And so finding ways to generate big plays, and everyone has a hand in it, whether it be the offensive line protecting when we're throwing, whether it be wide receivers getting on blocks downfield in the run game, quarterback decision making, the ball being thrown and caught. All of those things go into it, but it is a huge indicator of success. And if we have big plays on offense, it will be a productive day for us, both yardage and then in points as well.
Speaking of big plays, before we wrap up, I want to turn our attention to the Columbia Athletics Hall of Fame. The induction ceremony will be next week, and Austin Nolan and Josh Martin are two guys you cross paths with, because if I have my facts right, you were an assistant at Penn, which overlapped when they were playing, and we also have some old school representatives going in. How special is it to have been connected to some of these individuals and then being honored next week?
I think I'm just looking forward to going and being a fan, and some of the gray hairs in my beard are a result of trying to find ways to try to block Josh Martin. Watching Austin Nolan running up and down the field, was daunting as well. And it was my first year back in the league, was 2009, when Austin was a senior. And I remember watching him from across the ball. We had no crossover film of him. I never got to see Columbia's offense as an offensive coach. And so we're in warm-ups, and I'm watching this kid, 83, like, where did this guy come from? Like, why is he here? How is he here? I mean, this is a legitimate FBS talent, playing and lighting us up when I was at Penn. And thank goodness it was one season that I had to see him. And then we had to try and block Josh for a couple more. And sometimes it worked, but a lot of the times it didn't. We had to get the ball out of our hand fast when we were playing Columbia, and Josh was doing it, and he went on to have such a great career. I've gotten to know Josh a little bit, have never met Austin, so look forward to that. And a couple of the other alums that are getting recognized, Al Butts, and just an all-time great that played on the 61 championship team and was a jack of all trades for us, running back. They also had a couple interceptions. I know in a big game against Yale, I think it was in the 61 season when they shut them out 11-0. So it's going to be fun to just be a part of the night and get a chance to sit back and take in all things that are great about Columbia and Columbia athletics. So it's going to be a fun night. It's going to be a fun homecoming weekend next week. But we'll focus on Marist for now, and when we get to it, we'll definitely enjoy the moment.
It's all about the task at hand. Though, if you do cross paths with Austin Nolan, maybe you compare notes and remind him what you did on special teams at Penn.
Oh, I don't know.
Perhaps if you want to rub it in a little bit.
I don't know if I don't know if it holds up. I don't know if it holds up.
Just throw it in my 2 cents here.
Okay.
If it's effective. Well, speaking of reminders, maybe Carter McFadden puts on a performance with respect to special teams as Columbia will go head-to-head with Marist on Saturday. Coach, it's always a pleasure catching up with you. Greatly appreciate it. Best of luck.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all that you do for us.
Absolutely. Kickoff is 12:30 p.m. Eastern. You can see the game on ESPN+. I will have the call with Sean Fitzgerald. We'll see you then.